So right, so come on then. If you want a massive passive income, put your hand in the air. Come on, want to see some hands? You want it, don't you?
Yeah.
Right. So massive passive income.
Yes.
Or do you want pots of cash?
As
Show
well.
me your other hand. Come on.
Well, yeah.
Don't fold your arms. That's cheating. Put your other hand up. Yeah. Right. Do you want to be a millionaire? Put both hands up. You do want to be a millionaire.
Yes.
You definitely want to be a millionaire. He already is a millionaire. Anyway, so I'm just trying to point out that everybody really wants to be a millionaire. But what's the best way of becoming a millionaire, apart from the strategy that we've just which sounds really good, but I'm not clever enough, I don't think, to do that, unfortunately. So anyway, I'm here to tell you about going large. So going large is basically a system for going large in property. It's not about McDonald's, it's not about having a Big Mac and large French fries, it's about going large in property. So yeah, the Go Large system, basically it teaches you how to create financial freedom in property without getting tied up in planning. So permitted development is the main strategy that you need to look for. Although that's not as easy, and somebody was talking earlier on about it in the north, it's very difficult to do, can't remember who it was. It was a guy there. Yeah, so that's only part of what I'm looking at, but it's the quickest way to become a millionaire. And it's the quickest way, as we've just said, to get passive income or big cash returns. And the passive income, as you'll see later on, it got me through the crash, and literally could get me through anything now, I suppose. It doesn't really matter what happens, I'm all right. So yeah, a little bit about me. I'm not trying to be boastful with this, I'm just trying to tell you what I've done. There's a bizarre history of things that have happened to me. So basically, I've been in property for 40 years. Originally started out as a commercial interior designer.
Started as a baby, presumably.
Oh, you're so. I was going to. Oh, I have a set joke that I was just about to do. That obviously, I couldn't possibly have been really doing it for 40 years because I'd have to be like 2 years old when I started.
Absolutely.
But no. So no, 56. I started when I was 16. But actually, I was telling somebody earlier on, I actually started even younger than that. I used to make stupid little models and put. When I was a kid, you know, I was always into interior design. I was always trying to design buildings, and I just literally have never stopped since that point. So always done it. I got involved in the reason that I can say that I've done so many commercial, well, actually refurbs, new builds, and conversions is I got involved in the pub, bar, and hotel industry, and I've basically spent 30 years working for big blue chip companies like Mitchells and Butlers, Green King. Building all sorts of bizarre things all over the place. So, but I've literally always been involved in commercial conversions, converted completely bizarre things. Anybody knows the dry dock in Leeds? Don't know, does anybody know? So, yeah. Well, I did that back in 1993. So I was working in an office in the Calls, and there was a barge literally outside the office, and I managed to get the deal and sold the deal to Bass for the guy that owned it. And moved it, so they moved it in, obviously lifted it out of the canal, took it up to the top, whacked it down there. Doesn't look too good now, but it looked really good. In fact, it won an award in 1993, but it doesn't look so good now. So right, yeah, so this is what happens as well. Unfortunately, 40 years, it's not, I'm not the teddy boy, that one's me, with the sunglasses on. I just about recognise it. Unfortunately, 40 years, yeah, I've still got the sunglasses, but everything else has gone. The hair's gone, the stomach's expanded, and I'm basically old guy. So I've put that up really to say, do you really want to spend 40 years learning how to do property? Some of us might not have 40 years, I might not have, who knows. Anyway, you need to get it done quicker than that. So this strategy that I'm going to show you, the going large strategy, you could change your life probably in 4 months, but in 4 years for definite. I mean, there's guys in here that are quite strong developers already, and they know that you could certainly become a millionaire, probably a multi-millionaire in 4 years. Definitely you can. So, and just to give you a sort of a bit of history and something that's really funny, really, well, it was for me, bloody stupid thing to do. Several things, so I did a load of properties and I became very, very successful quite a few years ago now. Had a big sort of company of employing about 35 people, and just really got sort of too big for my boots. Big ego came in, I had sort of flashy cars. And anyway, I started buying properties abroad. So this is something I bought in Brazil, which I still own. I bought a piece of land, which I've never been to. But I'm going to go there one day, and I'm going to get, obviously, the Union Jack flag. I'm going to get a seat, I'm going to sit there, I'm going to open a can of beer or a bottle of champagne or something, and then just whack the flag in, because I bought it off this thing here, you know, so the big sales thing. It just shows you how stupid you can be. It doesn't matter how clever you are, how much experience you've got, people do stupid things. So I bought this piece of land. These are the deeds for it, so it exists, but it sort of disappeared in the crash because the guy that I bought it off, who was working out of Gibraltar, got arrested for drug dealing. And so yeah, he was just laundering money, basically, in Brazil. So that was one of the silly things that I did. The next sort of silly thing that I did, I actually bought a property in Spain as well, like lots of people do, and also something in Dubai as well, an apartment in Dubai. And then I bought something in Cape Verde. Well, this was a piece of literally scrub land, you know, like the old westerns where there was a bit of drift thing flying across. That's what this was like. Yeah, crazy, mad thing. I mean, I was drunk when I bought it, basically. And it took me out on loads of nights out, loads of wine, just fine here. I handed over some money and that was it. And it cost me €135,000. And it comes a bit later on in sort of what I'm explaining has happened to me, because it took them 7 years to build it in the end. So, yeah, well, I did all sorts of crazy things, and especially with that property. So I went out there, so it took them 7 years, and literally I thought I'll go out there for 7 weeks and get plastered. And it's all-inclusive resort in Cape Verde. And I got there and I spent 4 weeks, and my other half will vouch for me, she's at the back of the room. I got drunk virtually every day. I don't know how she put up with it. I was seriously embarrassing for 4 weeks. And so, but I woke up one morning and I thought, I don't think I want to do this anymore. I thought, I don't know whether anyone knows what it's like to be a proper Yorkshireman. Your dream is to live abroad, to drink all the time, relax on the beach, ogle a few pretty women, and that's what your dream is. And that sort of, I was living my dream, but it was rubbish really, sadly. So I decided one morning that I was going to change my life, come back and do something else. And before I'd gone away, I'd sent off for this thing, which I thought was a load of cobblers. Has anyone else seen this little DVD thing?
Yeah.
So it was on my filing tray when I got back, and I remember talking to Honor and saying, who's at the back? She's a psychic clairvoyant, by the way. So I thought I'll ask her what she thinks about going to see this. And she said, yeah, why not? Give it a try. I thought, it's got to be a load of rubbish, because there's no way you can do normally down in property. It's a completely stupid thing to do. So anyway, I thought, well, we'll give it a try. So we went to this thing called Masopi, and these two guys, you know, with the cheesy grins and the stripy shirts, which, you know, I've obviously got this because it's part of the uniform. I've tried to do it a little bit differently, so I went to day one on the Masopi, and some people have been to Masopi, haven't they, here?
Yeah.
Who's been to Masopi? Yeah, right. So you know what it's like. I mean, it's literally, the lady at the back was talking to about it, it's a completely life-changing event, and it actually doesn't cost anything, which is amazing. You've just got to be really careful when you get to the end of it. Because they're incredibly good at selling.
It might be free, but it can cost a lot, can it?
Yes. Yeah, but it is free. You can walk away and not cost you anything, and it is a life-changing experience, and it certainly was for me. Genuinely, I'm not bullshitting it. It really was a life-changing thing, and it cost me a fortune as well. You're just about to see. So literally, I originally went there with my other half. She wanted to do, I think it was deal packaging. She wanted to do deal packaging, which is a great strategy if you haven't got a lot of money and you just want to try and get something, make a bit of money from nothing really. I wanted to do serviced accommodation. I was really interested in, and I obviously was interested in commercial conversions, so I did that training. And then I got talked into, I can't remember how, I think it isn't even on there, but the VIP thing, I got talked into that. And then I ended up signing up to the Cayman Mastermind Legacy, and literally I'd lost control, my credit card was just going everywhere, and then I think I remember driving home, and I didn't sleep for 3 or 4 days, you know, like just waking up, just couldn't, it was just so exciting what I'd learned so much interesting stuff from these guys. And you know, it doesn't matter how much experience you've got, but the key to everything is education, which, you know, anyone that's been to school, you all think, oh no, horrible, boring education. No. I'd spent 30 years and not had any training. I just made loads of mistakes, like in Brazil. I go on this, and literally, second day they said, how many things can go wrong in property? So there were 6 things. It was buying off plan, buying abroad, new build. I can never remember what the 4th one was, but I'd literally done four of the 6 things in Cape Verde. And that, it just clicked in my head. I thought, my God, they do know what they're talking about. So I've been on every single course that exists there. I spent 40 grand, I think, so far. I'm going to get it back, though. That's my ambition. I am going to get that money back. I'm also doing some training, and somebody was talking about mentors as well. I've got a fantastic mentor. She's not part of Progressive Property, but she's literally one of the best mentors. She's as good as Mark and Rob. She's fantastic. She teaches you how to scale a property business, because that's a big important part of the whole thing. So commercial conversions, which is really what we're here to talk about. Now, I can genuinely, definitely say that you don't need previous experience. People often worry about that, but really you just need the right team. And you can do it with no money down. You've just got to find people who've got some money to do it with you. It's as simple as that, really. So it's not a problem, you can do it. The secret to doing it is outsourcing. So I've created this thing which I call PACS, which is about, basically you need the basic team you need. The most important person actually of the whole team is that person. And I've put them ahead of the architect, who's the next person. Is there any architects here? Oh, God, yes, sorry. Are there any planning consultants here? Never mind. Well, honestly, I know architects are fantastic. Planning consultants are literally just a bit better, I have to say, because they know how to screw the planners, basically, and they know the system so well that they can get you things that sometimes architects can't get. Anyway, so yeah, but a good planning consultant also will be able to tell you about a good architect as well, because literally they have to deal with good architects, otherwise their life is hell. So the next person you need is a commercial agent. Now that could be a commercial agent to find the properties, or it could be a commercial broker. We've got some brokers in the room, some guys that are with me tonight, and they will help you find the money, which is obviously pretty key as well. Something else you need is a good property solicitor, and actually I should have an accountant, but it didn't quite work out with the lettering. You need a property accountant as well. For some reason this has stopped moving now.
It will go.
Yeah. Oh, gotcha. Get back. Right. So yeah, I've put this on. There's just a few slides here, just to really emphasise that you need to outsource everything. So this was a small development I did up in the Lake District, actually. A sort of dream cottage that I bought, and I'm really just saying, I don't know whether you can see, there's a massive wall up here, and there's a huge piece of earth here. I had to get a guy with a JCB, and well, I don't know about you, but I don't fancy doing that. I mean, you might be able to do it with a JCB, but I thought, no chance. So it's just, and again, you know, we put all this in there. I don't want to do that. So literally get other people to do everything. I have no idea how to do this type of stone. I'd love to be able to do it, but that guy, he knew how to do it. Just let him do it. The elements of the job, like this as well, things. I mean, if I tried to do that, the roofer would turn up and he'd have to take the whole lot off again, because it'd all be like that. So this guy knew exactly how to do it perfectly. So why do we think that we have to do all the elements ourselves? Why do we think we know better than architects? We don't know better than architects. Architects know what they're doing because it takes them 7 years to learn how to be architects. People know how to be interior designers. So, you know, these people know how to build. So you just got to let other people do what they need to do. And I mean, look at that roof. The guys that did that, they redressed all the slate on that roof. There's thousands of pieces of slate. I mean, I could spend a day trying to just get one of them right. You know, they know what to do. They know how to do it. Employ architects, employ planning consultants, outsource everything. You don't need to actually know anything because you can outsource the whole lot. So why commercial conversions? Well, I've said to somebody earlier on, it's actually a similar effort to a small project. Anyone that's done a normal sort of, where you're involved in putting some electrics in, and you're redecorating it, and you're putting new floor finishes in, and you're just doing basic refurb and stuff. It's the same principles, but it's just a bigger scale. And if you're doing apartments, it's just repeating the same thing again and again and again. And what's the good news? Well, it's much better returns, more zeros in your bank account at the end. So it's a win-win. You can't. Why would you not want to do it? This is a project that we did in Stanley in Leeds, which we converted, which is obviously close by. This was actually a project
It wasn't Gladstone Terrace for it.
It was Gladstone Terrace.
Yeah, land at the bottom.
Did you?
Yeah, that was mine. Offices and.
What, you developed the thing at the far end?
No, we did a deal with Mandale. It's a long story.
All right.
Recession came, so we. But yeah, we're involved. But
Yeah, we did that.
We had that for 20 flats in commercial, I think, at the time.
Yeah. Well, we bought this. This was a guy that actually walked in the office and he just asked me if I was interested in doing a development, and he'd already got planning permission, so I sort of bought the company off him and just started from that really. And it was a major project because that's all completely in construction. There were flat roofs coming off here built in the 1960s, so it was a big project. And that saved me really. That was the one thing I did. 10 apartments there, and the income from that literally got me through the crash. So this was another one that we did. This is in Rodley, actually, just down the road.
I think we're stalking each other there.
We are, yeah. We are, yeah. This has now become, I've converted some of these into serviced accommodation, so I haven't got all the photographs of that with me. There's more sort of info on this discovery day that I'm trying to get people interested in. And yeah, so that, again, fantastic. I mean, thank God I did these projects because they got me through literally everything. The passive income from these, I don't really have to work. I don't need to work, but I enjoy it. This was another one actually, which was a new build thing that we did, which just came from nothing actually. It cost me, there was a piece of land. There's a photograph later on. It's not there. There's a caravan. 1950s caravan was there. I just had this idea of just building a sort of a studio, but quite contemporary inside, but still faced up in stone, so it looks fairly traditional. And we've got some strong ideas about doing some of these virtually pods in the dales and the lakes, in woods. A little bit more than log cabins, underfloor heating and sort of fancy stoves and jacuzzi baths and
glamping. That's what we call
serious
it.
glamping, yeah. But a little bit better than a shed, a hot tub just round the corner. So got quite a few ideas to do things like that. So that's one of the things I'm working on at the moment. So go large. Yeah, right. So the reason it's got large is like a lot of progressive things. There's a thing for each thing. So there's 5 things. Locate the deal. So how do you locate the deal? Where do you find them? So, well, everybody knows about Rightmove, but anybody also knows that everybody knows about Rightmove. So one of the big things that I think is important is actually to drive the area and actually go and meet not just commercial agents, which it says there, but also people in pubs and shops and bars and anywhere really, so you can talk and ask people. There's lots of guys that are fed up, that want to retire, they want to jack it all in, they want to sell up. You might get a deal. So the internet's fantastic, but I believe actually people are good as well. So I think it's important to go out and talk to people and try and find deals, because often you can find things that no one else can find if you do that. Other places to find them, these are just standard things. I'm sure everybody knows that there's commercial sections in Zoopla and Rightmove. So there's lots of places to find them. Something that, again, this is a tip that's part of the discovery day that I'm trying to get people to come on. This is about how you script an offer. I'm sure some of you probably know, but you can avoid VAT if you ask for a certificate, one of these 1614Ds, so you can avoid VAT, which is good. You don't want to pay VAT. And you've got to know how to construct the offer letter so that literally the vendors believe that you really can do it and that you're not some joker just making something up. So the structure of the letter is actually quite important, and I've certainly been able to get deals because I've done that. I've followed actually what Glenn, who's the guy that runs the conversion course at the moment, taught me to do, and I refer back to that course quite a lot. It's really good. So arranging funds, there's some commercial brokers in here tonight. So put really simply, I mean, it said funds are plentiful, but they really are. And if you speak to the commercial brokers that are here, they are. There's loads of different money available all over the place. So it comes into 2 sections really. There's equity and development finance. Equity is basically like a house deposit really. And development finance is the rest of the money to buy the property and to do the work. And lenders are competing. They literally are competing. I've met loads of different lenders. I go speak speak directly to banks. I always try and use brokers. I sometimes go directly. Often the brokers, as they've taught me already, get better deals than I can by going directly to the banks because they know people better than I do. So yeah, this is a really good diagram. I think this is fantastic for those people that don't believe you can do no money down. The fact is that lots of people have got lots of money, and often they don't have any time whatsoever. And they might have made the money in some sort of cryptocurrency thing, I don't know. Hopefully they have, and then but they don't have any skills to do any property, and maybe they want to do something that's actually going to physically live and people are going to enjoy. So why not? Why won't they lend you the money? If you've got the time, which most people have got the time, especially younger people, learn the skills, find out how to do it, and joint venture, you know, and then you can do no money down. That's why when I saw the DVD player and I thought it's a load of cobblers, it isn't a load of cobblers because you can do it. And I've already got investors with me at the moment that will do no money down deals. So where do you get the commercial equity finance from? Well, that's often a big problem for people. There are angel investors. I've presented to angel investors in London on a couple of occasions, and I've got money from them as well. Surprised myself actually a couple of times. Fantastic. I mean, you know, they're literally just like you guys. You think they're going to be, you know, completely mad maniacs, full of their egos, and they're actually just ordinary people like you and me. And all they really want to do is invest with somebody they feel safe with, and that can do the job. And I've also got involved in SaaS funds as well. I've got my own SaaS, which comes up a little bit later on. And if anybody's interested in SaaSes as well, I've got some knowledge about that. So if you get in touch with me, I can help you with that. Not that I'm a financial advisor, but yeah, high net worth individuals, and as Progressive, you know, drum into you constantly, which is why you're all here. The network is the key to everything, really, because there'll be people in here that we don't know. They've probably got loads of money. I don't know. People find people. They've got relatives that have got money. There is money out there all over the place. And the other important thing, which I believe that brokers will also back me up on, is that unlike normal banks where it's a computer and they're plugging you in, oh, I'm sorry, you haven't quite got the right number there, I'm sorry, no, you can't have it, get lost. You get to often meet them, especially if you're presenting something that's a decent sized scheme. They'll actually want to meet you. Wow, you get to talk to people. You can actually present the scheme, show them what you want to do, and they believe in you. And they will do it if they believe in you, which is, you know, it's like the old days. It's like how banks used to be. You could talk to somebody, you can convince them to do the job, and they'll do it, which is fantastic. There's other sources. Once your modern models are, you know, is sort of proven as well, which you'll see something we've done a sort of serviced accommodation model a bit later on. Then literally the banks are falling over themselves then. I mean, to do the first one's quite tricky, but once you've done that one, then just the sky's the limit. You can more or less do whatever you want to do. How do you impress them? How do you show them what you can do? So one of the big things that you've got to find how to do is, well, a business plan, but also present the scheme in the right way. So I spent a lot of time actually, well, probably about 6 months, sort of perfecting a presentation system which is connected to Ray McLennan, actually, who was mentioned earlier on as a mentor. It's got 18 points in it that you need to put together in a presentation that you can give to the bank, and it's got all the elements in. You know, it really shows them that you know what you're doing, and it covers every question they might have. And so again, part of the discovery day was we're trying to show people how to do that, and again, keep plugging away at the door. You don't need huge experience. As I've already said, it's not the computer say existing borrowing looked at sensibly. So even if you've had problems in the past, so long as the deal stacks up, so long as you can get the equity money together, then you can get the deal. They will do it. Sometimes you're allowed to have a choice of surveyors. They usually give you a list of surveyors, so you've got to usually stick to that. And you can also negotiate as well, you know, especially when you've done a couple of deals and they believe that you can do it. They're actually, I've already started negotiating with somebody recently. You can't get massive discounts, but you can get good discounts. So the next thing is the R, which is probably where my strongest sort of point is, which is redesign. So yeah, I think this is a massive statement. It's in the book. by T. Harvey Eker there. Value is what determines how much money you'll make. You are paid in direct proportion to the value you deliver according to the marketplace. So literally, redesign is all about adding value. And adding value, extensions, permitted development, planning gain, full planning, change of use, all these things is redesign. So again, another one in Rodley. Yeah, so little things like external appearance. I mean, it's obvious really, but yeah, we sandblasted the building, put some new windows in, did some landscaping, and you added a massive value. People, you know, if that was had apartments, they wouldn't buy in there, but they'd buy in there. So just by changing the external appearance, you can redesign something. So this is something that we did. That ceiling structure there is the same ceiling structure there. So we put a floor in here. So you know, we created duplex apartments. We doubled the size of the floor space. We sandblasted all the timbers. And massive added value for people. Again, that's the place that talks about adding value, finding a piece of land that's got nothing on it, changing it, transforming it, making it into something different. This is a recent project that we did, and this I mentioned to somebody again earlier on about interior design, although I'm sure architects can appreciate that you can actually transform something just with interior design. I mean, this room, you could make this look 10 times better, you know, really easily. And people often overlook it. You can add so much value with design, and it's very, very important. Everybody, architects certainly understand that. Some of the other things that are covered on this discovery day and the commercial conversion course is how quickly it is and how easily it is. Rather than going to visit a site, you can work out ahead of that really easily using square feet. What the fundamental costs are, so you can basically work out what the cost to convert is, what the cost you're going to get at the end, what the balance is, what the profits are going to be, what the purchase price might be. And so that stops you messing about for ages, wandering around looking at sites, trying to think, is this going to work, is that going to work? It means that you can look very quickly and just get rid of them if they don't work. So that's quite an important thing. So yeah, massive opportunity. We've already talked about permitted development, but what sort of deals are we looking for? Well, the Go Large system encourages developing buildings for prior approval. Does anybody know a lot about prior approval? Anybody done any prior approval? Yeah. Well, it's fantastic. I mean, it's the government, obviously the planning system. The architects again will know the planning system is a nightmare. It's a complete joke. Pre-planning really means that now it's something that they brought in to try and help matters has actually doubled up the planning process. So you go through the whole process to be told nothing firm at all, and then you have to put a planning application in. It's a really good idea by somebody. Yeah, great. But they put in the shortcuts. The government, my goodness, the government came up with a good idea. And fantastic idea, and I think there will be more of it. And so if ever you've really bored on a night and you can't sleep, yeah, you can't sleep, you know, by all means have a look at some of these, because I can guarantee that you will be nodding off, you know, fairly quickly. So it tells you all the details of everything you need to know about prior approval, but joking apart, I mean, it's a very exciting thing, and you could literally make a lot of money out of finding the right buildings at prior approval. Somebody was saying again, you were saying that it only works in the south. I think you're right. But there are buildings in the north that it does work on, and I think offices and especially shops at the moment is going to be a massive opportunity for shops, because we can see the high street's dying, and there's lots of shops available, and under permitted development, you know, certainly smaller shops you can convert into apartments, and then upstairs you can convert easily as well. And they're often in places where people have got lots of amenities, so I think that'll be something that's going to happen a lot. People are trying to stop it at the moment, you know, that have got shops and councillors as well, but I think in the longer term they're going to have to let high streets back to people to live in again. That's just my opinion. Yeah, they're also changing for brand new developments as well. The government are really bringing in so that you can get much higher density. Everybody can see that greenfield sites are coming along more than they've ever done for probably, well, certainly in my lifetime. There's a lot more happening. So get it built. So yeah, fairly key. can be a really hard thing actually, can be the hardest thing, but actually it isn't if you use the right people. So again, mention architects again, if you've got the right people working on it, then you know, you don't need to worry about it because they will look after it for you. You ensure there's a JC contract in place, and you make sure that and it actually works for the builder as well as you as well, because it covers them for things that where you might not pay them. So, you know, it's a protection for everybody. It's a really great idea, and you really need to do it properly if you're going to do it. And it protects everybody. There's liquidated damages. If things go wrong, it's all built into the contract, so you don't need to worry so much. You know, it's always worth using a QS as well, which is actually the next thing. So, yeah, one of the big things that's anybody that's done, lots of people have already done projects here, the big thing is variations. So, often builders, you're a builder, are any other builders here? Right. Yeah, so a lot of builders will tender on something and win the job and then really make all the money out of the variations as soon as they get on site.
It's normally the extras. I mean,
well, extras, variations, it's the same
The contractors,
thing.
it's an ongoing argument.
Yeah.
They're out to stuff you for the extras, that's where the profit is.
Yes, yeah. So it's a constant battle. Well, one of the things that one of the solutions is to naturally know what you're doing before you start. So creating a schedule that finishes is a really important thing, because you can specify something like you might want to pick this carpet. You probably wouldn't want to pick this carpet, but you could specify it and then change it, and you get charged extra for changing it, or you know, the ceiling or the light fittings. So you've just got to be pretty definite in a schedule of finishes what you want, and then you're covering yourself, aren't you? You're not going to get done by the builder. So yeah, so I'm here really to promote this commercial conversion discovery day, which is down in sunny old Peterborough, which is a wonderful place, and it's 295 quid per person. It's a total bargain, isn't it? Anyway, so that's just a lot more of what we've been talking about. There is more after this actually, and you know, it's a great course. Maybe you can come and join us. So anyway, the next thing is the exit. Several different ways. I personally, I've got a book that I'm promoting, which actually, if I could pass it around, you could all have a little look at, if you don't mind, have a little look at that. It's better than figuring the new books at the back. So, yeah, there's two people in there, Glenn Delve, who specialises in commercial conversions, pretty much permitted development, and Mark Homer, who's the other guy that's in charge of progressive property. He, like me, actually holds properties. I've always struggled, my other half, if you speak to her, will laugh at it. I don't actually like selling properties because I tend to buy properties that I really like. And then it's bizarre how I've ended up doing this, because I actually just started off buying things that I liked. Completely mad. Didn't really work anything out actually. I started just buying things that I really liked, and, but it worked. So the big things, one of the big things at the moment is serviced accommodation, which I'm sure you're probably all aware of. Single lets is the famous old one, and nice. I've got some of those, and fantastic, and there's nothing wrong with those actually at all. But serviced accommodation you can make a lot more money out of. So yeah, so this is a project that we did actually in Leeds. It's near Woodhouse Square. This is a beautiful Georgian merchant house built in 1777. This was the headquarters of this takes a bit of saying, so if I get it wrong, it's the Yorkshire Archaeological and Historical Society. They were in there for 50 years, and so we had enormous pressure on us, because we had the Civic Trust, we had the Woodhouse Trust, we had, you know, the society itself all watching exactly what we were doing in this building. They all thought we were converting it into student apartments. Literally, we'd have little old ladies would come round and say, "I don't know what you're doing, you're converting this into student accommodation." Go, no, it's going to be serviced accommodation. So, yeah, so we bought it for 700,000. It cost us 750 grand to develop it, and it independently valued at 2.1 million. It's targeted to do 187k. It did 29 grand last month, and it's got 78% occupancy. It's a beautiful building. You can see that it's actually got amazing original Georgian features. I mean, the whole thing there, the staircase is all Georgian. It's all incredible that it's all remained there. It's extended by the Victorians, but still pretty good. So yeah, so we did 3 different styles. Just to explain a bit more about the serviced accommodation side, because there's a lot of features in there, there's lots of cornices and you can see some fancy fireplaces. So we did a sort of a traditional one, which originally, talking to somebody earlier on, I thought this was going to be the one that older people like me would like to go in, and I was completely wrong. Just shows you how you can do it. And actually, foreign visitors love this one more than anything else. We've got one of these apartments, I'm not sure it's one of these, it isn't. French people, like, you cannot get in it because it's just full all the time of French people. Chinese people love this as well. They're in all these traditional ones all the time. So it's got like a parquet floor in Chesterfields, and it does really well. So, and then we did another one which I think is a sort of John Lewis meets IKEA, which it is.
Did you design it?
Sorry?
Did you do design?
Yeah, well, some of it, yeah, I did it in country. This is a joint venture I did with a guy who's called James Way, and he actually manages my serviced accommodation stuff. His dad owns a company called Home Buyers in Leeds. I don't know whether you know them. He started up his own company when he left uni, and they built it to 380 single lets. So he runs a big company, and I've joint ventured with him. He manages this, and he will manage future projects. So yeah, this is the sort of IKEA John Lewis style. You know, you can see the typical things that are sort of, you know, I suppose trendy at the moment in a mid-market sort of thing. So and a lot of other people are doing this sort of style. So then we did something which was a bit more sort of, it's an urban sort of industrial thing. It's similar to what other people are doing. It's got more industrial furniture. We've got sort of scaffold poles in the bedrooms for hanging your gear on. This was in the coach house, which was sort of a bit of an older area, a bit more of a basic, stable block. There used to be a bar in there as well. This was a property that I still own. This was something I bought in a SIP originally, and again, just a hold property. This was one of the best things I ever did, because I bought this, originally I had it as an office actually, and then, believe it or not, obviously it was a church. I had it as an office, then a Nigerian church has now taken it over, and it's gone back to, it's got bands in there and everything, and they pay me 35 grand a year into my pension. I've never been there for 2 years, I've never spoken to them, I never even bother. Literally, it's full repair and lease. So fantastic, you know, SAS pensions, fantastic way, brilliant way, you know, to secure your money for a long, long time and get passive income straight into your pension. This has got potential as another actually serviced. I'm told they're going to go eventually. When they do leave, I'm going to convert into some flats, so it will make 10 apartments out. So yeah, the other option is selling it. I haven't sold many things actually. I've sold a few things, and you can release large pots of capital. The other good thing, normally on commercial conversions, you can reduce your VAT to 5%. If you're going to be selling it, you don't pay any VAT. You can get all your VAT back, which is great. The big thing, which is why understand your tax position. You know, Sharon, who was mentioned earlier on. The big important thing with selling is to make sure you've got a really good property accountant who can really carefully make sure that you're not going to get seriously taxed, which would be unfortunate. This was one of the ones that I sold in the end. So yeah, made a bit of money out of that. Just moving on and going back to the principle of outsourcing again. This is literally, we started off with the 4 people you need at the beginning, but as you get into the whole thing, to look at everybody you need, there's literally 12 people. Actually, I think I counted it as 12. So if you think of them as your disciples, you're basically Jesus in the middle. And you just need all these people. You basically need all these people. And that's all you need. So, I mean, once you've established that you've found yourself a good solicitor and a good commercial agent and a good contractor, you might need to change your contractor occasionally, I don't know. Planning consultants, literally, you've got the team. So you don't need to mess about. You can just use the same team. You can even set up emails that go to the team to tell them at each stage what they need to do. part of the training thing. So yeah, well, question mark. What we're going to do? Well, what we should do is buy this book, which is why I'm here incidentally. And it even flicks around a bit as well. Look. So take action now. So how much is this book then? Oh, I forgot about this. Right. So this is the pyramid of all types of property work that you can do, and you can see, you know, right at the bottom is good old buy-to-let, which there's nothing wrong with it at all. In fact, a lot of people are actually moving back to buy-to-let because it's just a damn sight easier than some of the other strategies. Anyone that's got HMOs will definitely tell you that. So yeah, we pretty much we're here in the pyramid of different types of development. Serviced accommodation is right alongside us. So the thing that we actually did was, which was brave, was combining the two hardest things you could possibly do. Commercial conversion into serviced accommodation is probably the hardest thing you can try and do, because serviced accommodation is a massive management issue, and you've got to have the right people to do that at the end. So, so what do you learn on this day? If you want to come on the Discovery Day, you learn that. You get all the things that we've already talked about, but in a lot more detail, and a lot more time spent on each thing, and some more case studies and some more examples of how you can do it. So yeah, it's a ridiculous amount. I didn't come up with the value of this book. It was originally £9.99. For this evening, it's £4.99, which is hardly a pint of beer, really. And I think I said it was 300 quid for the commercial Discovery Day course. It's actually nothing. So you just buy the book, you get 2 free tickets, which is valued at around 600 quid. So that's good, and all you've got to do basically is click onto that, or go and see Morton at the back of the room and buy a book for £4.99. Yeah, so that's thrown in, it's just part of the deal. So, again, something progressive makers do. Do something today that your future self will thank you for. But I would back that up by, why don't you do something today that your children will thank you for as well? Do something today that your grandchildren will thank you for, because that's what you can do. You know, with property, that's the big difference. You can change your lives. It's up to you. That's not me. Any questions? Has anyone got any questions?
You've been around of applause.
Any questions?
Yep. Questions?
If